Greetings. Hello from San Antonio, Texas, original home of the Payaya people, the Comanches, the Kickapoos, so many tribes from northern Mexico. I'm Naomi Shihab Nye, sitting here so happy to be connected to you in Queensland. I'm honored to be the digital poet for Queensland from July until December of 2023, and I look forward to hearing your voices. I have never been to Queensland, but one of my favorite relatives in the world, Barbara Nye, lives in Maleny, Queensland. She is an artist and a children's picture book writer and a magnificent human being, and I feel very connected to many places in the world where I've never been yet. So I hope you will accept me as a poet who is ready and happy to listen to you. Um, it is very hot here. I was invited on the instructions to possibly do a landscape scene. Right now it is 107 degrees Fahrenheit, so I am sitting in my tiny little studio with lots of books and colors in it. Also, I have a washing machine and a dryer, but who needs a dryer when it's 107? And I'm going to read just a few poems to introduce you to my work, and I may say just a couple of things about them. I've been a poet since I was 6 years old. I started sending my poems to magazines when I was 7. I have always been a big advocate for connections between countries and cultures with poetry, and I feel it is so important for us to befriend one another through the simple line, phrase, word, image. We don't have to agree on everything, but we can still be connected. My father was Palestinian from Jerusalem, an Arab man, and my mother was from a German family, and she grew up in the United States. I will read to you first a very old poem, but a simple poem, just to give you a sense the kind of poems I like to write. Little Blanco River, Blanco meaning white in Spanish. You're only a foot deep, under green water, your smooth shale skull is slick and cool. Blue dragonfly skims you like a stone, skipping, skipping. It never goes under. You square dance with boulders, make a clean swishing sound. Centuries of skirts, lifting and falling in delicate rounds. No one makes a state park out of you. You're not deep enough. Little Blanco River, don't ever get too big. I have always written about close to home things, simple things. Uh, I don't think there's anything too small to write about. This is a tribute to libraries where I first fell in love with so many voices. Because of libraries, we can say these things. She is carrying the book close to her body, carrying it home on the cracked sidewalk down the tangled hill. If a dog runs at her again, she will use the book as a shield. She looked hard among long lines of books to find this one. When they start talking about money, when the day contains such long and hot places, she will go inside. An orange bed is waiting, story without corners. She will have 2 families. They will eat at different hours. She is carrying a book past the fire station and the five and dime. What this town has not given her, the book will provide. A sheep, a wilderness of new solutions. The book has already lived through its troubles. The book has a calm cover, a straight spine. When the step returns to itself as the best place for sitting, and the old men up and down the street are latching their clippers, she will not be alone. She will have a book to open and open and open. Her life starts here. And now I'm the old person sitting on my porch with the clippers in the evenings when it gets cool enough to go outside. I messed up the beginning of that poem. It actually started, she is holding the book close to her body, carrying it home on the cracked sidewalk. I think I always thought of books as shields. Books were here to protect us in some way and give us larger, expansive visions. Well, little kids used to ask me if I was famous when I was very young and went into their schools. And of course, the answer was no. But then I would start thinking, we're all famous to the people who know us, to our neighbors. Um, so I wrote them this little poem to answer that question. And I did have to use it more times than one. Famous. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat, sleeping on the fence, is famous to the birds watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous, briefly, to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do. That poem later became a picture book of its own, illustrated by Lisa DeSimone of California. This is an observation poem. I think sometimes you can find a poem just looking out your window. I was actually outside walking in the rain, carrying someone myself, and I observed a man. Shoulders. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south, because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near to his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say, fragile, handle with care. His ear fills up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling. I came to Australia only once, and I only saw Sydney and Uluru. I was there for a week. It was a bit of an odd trip, but I want you to know that I am studying about Queensland, and I have a map of Queensland that I'm staring at and dreaming of what it's like there, what it looks like there. I've heard over the years how welcoming it is to artists, and obviously so if you're welcoming someone all the way from Texas, even to talk to you. Mediterranean blue. If you are the child of a refugee, I was, you do not sleep easily when they are crossing the sea on small rafts and you know they can't swim. My father couldn't swim either. He swam through sorrow, though, and made it to the other side on a ship, pitching his old clothes overboard at landing, then tried to be happy, make a new life. But something inside him was always paddling home, clinging to anything that floated, a story, a food, or face. They are the bravest people on earth right now. Don't dare look down on them. Each mind a universe swirling as many details as yours, as much love for a humble place. Now the shirt is torn, the sea too wide for comfort, and nowhere to receive a letter for a very long time. And if we can reach out a hand, we better. I'm reaching out my hand to all of you who will be willing to share your voices with me. I look forward to communicating with you and having a conversation about poems. I really think poems want to help us. They want to serve us. And they're here for us in all their brevity and simplicity and beauty of image um, when we need them. And sometimes if we just read a stanza, a phrase, a line, an image that finds us where we are, it can really change things for us. I have the last poem I'll read you that has really gone on to have a much greater life than my own, I think. It's traveled to more places, done more things, and I'm grateful to this poem. And I did feel that it was given to me, not invented by me, but that I was simply the scribe, the secretary for this poem, which came to me during a very, very hard time in our lives when we had been robbed of everything and we were on a continent where we knew not one person, and someone came up to us in the street and was simply kind. And later I felt I heard this poem coming in the air across a plaza, and I just wrote it down. I took notes. Um, this past year has been a very, very difficult one for my husband and me. I lost my mother, my four longest, oldest friends, and our son within an 11-month period. It was shocking and very, very difficult. And in the nights, I would wake up and hear phrases of this poem ringing in my mind as if they were trying their best to get through to me again. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things, feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, this must go so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. He too was someone who journeyed through that night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. I'd like to do a little shout out as well to my dear nephew, Woodley Nye, who lives in Brisbane, I think, and my dear niece, Grace Nye, who lives in Melbourne. And to all of you friends, we haven't met yet. Thanks to Ray White for hosting me as digital poet for Queensland, all the way from Texas. Talk to me soon. I'll be thinking of you and waiting to read your work. Bye.